go to buy land. But why does land over time grow in value? It's usually because it produces value. For example, you can grow crops on the land, a farm. That means the farm has value because you produce value. Or you grow animals, cattle, sheep. The animal farm has value, or dairy. Or you subdivide, parcel of land, you build more dwellings on it, so people can live in. That's why it grows in value. Land by its very nature on its own is not going to grow much in value, especially if the land is located in the wrong area. You can go to Orange or many other places far away from the major cities where you can pay not too much money to buy big parts of the land. Unless, whenever you do something with it, it's not going to grow much. I always remember they say it's not the land, it's the location of the land and the scarcity of the land. I was talking to Will yesterday, we were discussing this very subject. I said in an ideal world, we would all love to buy a 4-bedroom house near the opera house. But you can't afford it. One, they can't build it because it's too expensive. You can go, one of the very old ones sold in the 1990s, 1-bedroom over $2 million. Pretty average apartment, great location, because the land there is very scarce. So the exercise today is for us to show you some statistics of apartments that have grown in value in Sydney and in other cities, maybe even including Melbourne, project that you're not aware of. We didn't probably even sell in the past because as an organization, especially as a new company, we want to show people we're the biggest and the best. So we want to go to a building that's got 1,000 apartments so we can sell a few hundred. So you have property to sell to your clients, and they're big, beautiful, glass buildings. Today, when you see some of the Sydney projects, you can see they're very ugly, pretty average quality, some very poor quality. But over the long term, they still grow in value substantially, double, triple, quadruple in value, because of the location, because of time. So ultimately, what really gives real estate long-term growth is time and location. Now, also from our experience with ARIA, we also know brand names. Great teams that put a project together, projects that are exclusive, that are unique, that are relatively scarce, can also give property extra growth. I still remember in the late 90s, early 2000, when I first joined the industry, they were talking about in Sydney, for the same location, a project with a brand name can carry a 30 to 40% premium. We also know that project that's got waterfront views or waterfront locations can command sometimes 60, 70% of premium. People pay more. Because ultimately, when you invest in property, one, you've got to have the tenacity to hold long term. Secondly, you want to attract people who have money. Then a very simple question to ask is that what do people with money look for when it comes to a home or place to live? We already know people want to live close to all the amenities. They want to live for convenience. They want to live in security. They want to live with prestige. I live in that building. For example, across the road, at the harbor, you're seeing Crown Building. I've been to inside one of the apartments, only 180 square meters, 4-bedroom, $24 million, 180,000 per square meter. And that's not even the most expensive. The most expensive one is the building next door. They sold off the plan, 3 levels, penthouse, $146 million off the plan. That's the most expensive home ever sold in Australia. $146 million, bought by a local Australian gentleman, family, living in eastern suburbs. The most expensive house in Sydney sold is $130 million. But the most expensive home is a 3-level apartments penthouse in that land lease building right next to Crown. $146 million. I still remember in 1995, when Tom Cruise was still married to Nicole Kidman, they paid $4 million in Darling Point for a penthouse. That was at the time the most expensive apartment ever sold. $4 million, 1995, $146 million. So seeing is believing. Today you're going to see with your eyes, so I'd like you to keep your eyes open, your mind open. Will and his team have put in a lot of effort to find out the information that will help you understand that it's not that apartments don't grow in value. It's that sometimes in certain locations take longer. It also depends on the person's circumstance. I just want to finish out with this, a very good question a lot of people ask me over the years. Some of you asked me even last week when I was in Melbourne. Joseph, what do you say if someone could buy 10 houses in Box Hill? Would they become rich? I said, absolutely. Do you know anyone who bought 10 houses in Box Hill? Yeah? Anyone who bought 10 houses in Box Hill? Or Burwood? Or Toorak? Or Glen Waverley? 10 houses. I haven't met anyone who bought, actually met one in Melbourne once. Of all the people after 24 years in this industry, I've only met one couple that bought 10 houses. And the lady told me, actually in Box Hill Lafayette, I met this lady, they also bought some apartments from us. Before that, they really worked hard, they just love looking at property, buying property, fixing properties. And the husband and the wife told me, my husband, when he was younger, he looked very handsome. And he had gray hair because every day, the wife was enjoying life, they done well. He was fixing the house every single day. Because too much maintenance, too many problems, very hard to hold on to. But the most important thing is that it's very hard to buy. Because as an investor, when you buy a house, second-hand house, even though you know over long term, in a good location, not too bad suburb, it's going to grow in value. But how do you know what is the fair value for an investor to get in? Value for money. You don't know. Therefore, you go there to look around, and then you come against people who have been looking for their dream home or their first home or their second home for a long time. Finally, they find this one that you're interested in. They're prepared to pay $200,000 more because they don't want to wait any longer. They found their dream home. You're not prepared to pay $200,000 more because you know, as an investor, you want to get the best possible price. And you don't know what is the best possible price. Therefore, they bought it, you decide, okay, I'll look for another one. The same thing happens. Then you realize, gee, it's too hard, maybe I'll go to another suburb. 3 months later, you forget about it because other things take priority. When you buy good quality apartment, you know what the price is. It's so much easier to make a decision. And by putting 20%, what you can buy a lot of them. I know people who have 100 properties. I know people who have 300 properties. I know people in Australia, they own 6,000 properties. In America, there's an American billionaire, he owns 32,000 apartments. It's very hard to buy 32,000 houses. Very hard to maintain, hard to manage. When I started investing, I asked the question, 1998, what about the rich people? Where do they invest? People on the rich list. They buy the whole floor of some of the most premium apartments or the penthouse. They may have a few houses to live in at their home in different suburbs, different cities, different countries. They don't buy a few houses as an investment for the reason that it's hard to acquire. You don't know the fair value. Secondly, very hard to maintain. Too much headache. Sometimes your client, because of headache, they may give up. That's why quality is important. That's why it's very easy to have low maintenance properties. These are a combination of different reasons why that apartments will continue growing in value. Because one last thing is that in Melbourne, in Sydney, houses just become way too expensive for the average people coming into the market. New migrants, local people, younger generation. Brand new apartment, you're talking about 13, 14, 15,000 per square meter now to build. Where do they go if they want to buy? Rent is getting so high. So that's why we want you to come in here and then have a listen to what Will has to say. I may, add a few anecdotes, and then we're going to take you to some of the ugly, average-looking, average quality, below average quality, even poor quality project. And over the year, they've grown their socks off. They make money for their owner, for the investors. Okay? So once again, thank you for being here, and welcome to Sydney. Here is Will.